Hello, my name is Mark O'Keefe. I'm the editorial page editor of the Herald-Standard. Herald-Standard Editorial Board is meeting today with Fayette County Commissioner Angela Zimmerlink to talk about the proposed new Fayette County prison. The editorial board members present today, in addition to myself, are Robert Penarski, publisher, Mike Palm, executive editor, Jennifer Harr, associate editor, and Terry Sneed, managing editor for content. But just to reiterate, the commissioners hired Slater Engineering of Uniontown and Crabtree, Warbaugh and Associates of Mechanicsburg to conduct the needs assessment of facilities and site study to determine the cost of either maintaining the current prison or building a new one. They presented the study to the Fayette County Prison Board, recommending that a new prison at a cost of $31.8 million be built at a site near the Fayette County Fairgrounds. The board agreed with the results of the study and approved a motion recommending that the Fayette County Commissioners pass it. The Fayette County Commissioners voted at their agenda meeting Tuesday to place the subject of a new prison on the agenda at their next meeting Tuesday, October 15th. In the meantime, county officials have been conducting 4 meetings with local residents to explain the results of the study. So basically, we're here today to hear what you have to say about this. So we'll give you the floor and you can say whatever you want to say.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'll just give you a very brief background for those who may not be up to date and know all of the particulars. I do want to say that this should not be an adversarial situation between me and the other 2 commissioners. When you have 3 elected officials, at times you have different views. I represent a portion of Fayette County taxpayers and residents, and they share with me through emails, telephone conversations, and through public meetings what their views are on many topics, including this one. So, in today's meeting, understand that some of the things that I am saying here are the same views as the residents of Fayette County. I've received many emails and telephone conversations, and for the most part, well, not for the most part, I can tell you that I have not had one telephone conversation or conversation with any paying property tax owner that says that they think that we should go full force and do a 480-bed facility, and they are urging me to try to convince my fellow 2 commissioners, or at least one of them, not to go that route. I can only do what I can do. My other 2 commissioners have the same information as I have. Generally speaking, they know what I'm about to say because I've said it before. And it's just a matter, hey, we all understand majority rules, but I think it's very important that not only all 3 commissioners have the information, but more importantly, and equally important, is that the public has accurate information. And quite honestly, that's not what has happened thus far. There are some misleading and inaccurate information, and I think that, and I know that we should take all of this into consideration before making our final decision. Basically, and I just have 2 sheets here, and I won't take long. I'll go through this, and if anyone has any questions, we can go from there. As we know, the prison board had formed a prison work group. The prison work group is comprised of county employees and about 3 or 4 citizens, the controller and the prison chaplain. I do not attend those prison working group meetings for one reason, and one reason only, because it would be a violation of the Sunshine Law. Regardless if anyone agrees or disagrees with me, it is a violation, and I am the elected official who would be responsible to answer that charge. I believe your own Pennsylvania Newspaper Association attorney agreed with me, even though our county solicitor did not. It could have all been cleared up by having one thing done, which I'm sure Herald-Standard would have appreciated, and that is placing the legal ad in the newspaper. Once you have the legal ad in the newspaper, then more than one commissioner can attend the meeting. It wasn't done. It was suggested to do, so I don't go. And as Mr. O'Keefe just said, yes, the Crabtree Associates and Slater Engineering did present this $24,000 study. Some people might say, well, why is Zimmerlink just coming out and talking now? Well, because this is dated September 25th. And if anyone has been watching the meetings, we were all told, everyone, all members of the public were told to be patient, not to ask any questions. Wait until the study comes, wait until the prison working group individuals have their information, and then ask the questions. So here we are, September 25th. I don't know what today is, so that's why we're here today. I believe that before you can find a solution to a problem, you have to adequately and clearly identify what the problem is. Because if you can't not define the problem, then you certainly are not going to be able to come up with a solution. Thus far, the options is new construction, be it on-site or off-site. But have there been any other alternatives? And really there hasn't, and I'll go through those as some suggestions that we should be looking at. And also some misconceptions that members of the public are hearing, and they don't, when they hear the other side of it, they can't understand why, if it's this blatant, why you just don't come out and tell exactly what the information is. And I'll give you the first example. They cite the 2012 Department of Corrections jail inspection report that is an addendum to Crabtree Slater's report. And they say that the county failed 80 of the 142 deficiencies. And that is true. However, what is always said is that the county is deficient and we need a new jail. What they fail to say is that the county is deficient in written policies. It is very clear, and I provided to Patty Auger, the reporter, an email from Department of Corrections, and very clearly states, I asked her, I said that, it keeps being said that we have to do a new prison because we're deficient. Well, those are not structural deficiencies. It is very clear that they are written policy deficiencies. Very specifically, the lieutenant of the Department of Corrections stated that it says, ma'am, most of the deficiencies listed in the report reflect lack of policy language. Our office realizes the facility is antiquated. However, the administration, meaning the prison board, needs to focus on coming into compliance with Title 37 policy language, maintaining better housekeeping, upkeep, current maintenance issues, and security issues are being met, and that the staff is following policy. I went through with her, as I did with your reporter, and it's not difficult. You just go through each of those items and you write the policy. Once you have the policy written, we will be in compliance with Title 37. But it's more than just writing a policy. We then have to share the information with our staff, and then we have to adhere to it. And when you adhere to the policy, you have less deficiencies and less problems. So first and foremost is the misinformation that has been given out that we are deficient and we must build a new jail. If we built the jail tomorrow, any one of you hit the lottery and want to donate to the county, come on guys, like nothing. Okay, then that jail could be built tomorrow. DOC said we will still be deficient. 80 of those 142. And I urge anyone to contact DOC and hear it for yourself. I just read the email and all of you have a copy of it.
Angela, can I stop for a
yes.
second? What type of, are they administrative policies that are written out, or do they deal with a wide range of things?
Whole wide range. Security issues, making certain that we have, security cameras operating, the food policy, or mental, or healthcare policy, something as simple as a drug-free policy. My goodness, you can get that in
Right.
But but none of them are structural, and none of them will cause the county jail to be closed down as per DOC. The unfortunate part of all of this is that we were deficient, as she said, even last year. So Title 30, is it 37? Yeah, Title 37 was upgraded, revised, and went into effect in 2010. So our warden received training as per DOC at that time, and we were supposed to have our policies implemented. So you had 2011, 2012, and here we are in 2013. Now, one of the steps that the prison board took was adopting Berks County policies. I informed DOC of that, and I said it at the time of the prison board meeting that this isn't good enough. You don't just take somebody else's policies. That'd be like you taking Tribune Review's policies and procedures and just adopting them. Of course you're not going to do that. Same way with Berks County. Berks County, as Commissioner Ambrosini said, is a Gold Star facility, and that may be true. However, as DOC says, Berks County and Fayette County are two different types of counties. So she has offered to send to me a disc that has county policies that are already written that are very similar to Fayette County.
In size and scope.
Correct.
Okay.
And we can use that as a guideline. Now, the thing is that come November 15th is when they're going to be on site. So I can get those discs, but somebody's got to do the work, and I'll help, but I don't want the same thing that has happened before, and your reporter knows what has happened before, you have policies and then everybody just walks away, because you'll still be deficient. Now, and also with this DOC report, people said, well, this jail has been in this condition for years. No, it hasn't. The prison board minutes of February 2007, of which I have a copy here for you, specifically says, this was when, well, you'll see who all were the 2007 would be the Seedies, Hardy, Zimmerlink, Sheriff Brownfield, District Attorney Nancy Vernon, and Controller Mark Roberts. If you look on page 2, it says very clearly, and this is February of 2007, the warden spoke about the annual inspection for the prison and stated that the only deficiency he received was that of the prison condition due to age, which was not something he had control of. The warden was congratulated for a job well done, as this is one of the best inspection reports the county has gotten since the warden took his job 10 years ago. So if the jail has become that bad, that happened between February 2007 to date. And jail is not falling down. I know all or some of you went over there, but believe me, I don't think you had to hold on to anything that's not falling down. So that's the first item. Now, what's the corrective action? It cannot be fixed by bricks and mortar. It can only be fixed by writing the policies and then following the policies. As she said, if we write them, we adopt them, and we follow them, Fayette County will no longer be deficient in their 80 of 142 cited deficiencies. The second item is that when I say they, I'm talking about the prison working group, fellow commissioners, and the controller. They say that DOC will, quote, shut us down if we don't do something, and the county jail is not ADA compliant. If you look at email number 3 from the Department of Corrections, and I'm reading this, DOC cannot shut us down, and ADA does not apply to older buildings. So I'm going to read for everyone, Sandra, the Lieutenant, Department of Corrections. And she's answering an email that I had sent to her, and mentioned that one of the agricultural team leader, Jim Killinger, said, and he said it on various occasions, that the DOC is going to shut us down and we're not ADA compliant, therefore we'll be shut down. It says, Jim and I had that discussion regarding shutting the jail down in ADA. No, we cannot shut the jail down. That takes a court order, and ADA does not apply to older buildings. There are older jails in Pennsylvania that still operate and are not fully ADA compliant. And then she goes on to say what we as a county would have to do if we have an inmate that is handicapped. So that disproves, everyone's out there saying, well, wait a minute, do we have to build a new $32 million jail because we're not ADA compliant and we're going to be shut down? Department of Corrections says no. So again, we all need the facts. We need accurate information before we make the decisions. So what's the corrective action on that? Well, the next page here shows us that the county underwent an ADA compliance review. And in June of 2009, okay, in June of 2009, that would mean Zimmerlink, Zabatoski, and Vasides were the commissioners at that time. We had the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division come in. They did a inspection of our county buildings, our parks, the prison annex, and you can take your time and read that page, but more importantly is you see on the last page where the 3 commissioners, I included, signed off with ADA that we would come into compliance with our prison annex. So when it's said that we will be shut down and we're not ADA compliant, that places that also in perspective. The third item is they cite that the jail is 124 years old and too costly to repair, maintain, and keep clean. Again, the jail's not falling down. The jail does need repairs, does need maintenance and housekeeping, and it has been neglected, no doubt. Just like any department head with any of our many departments, you come in every year for our county budget meeting and you tell us, what do you need? You need new carpet? What do you need you need new chairs? They do that every year, okay? Has the warden, past or present, done that? Given us a list of items that he needed to repair and upkeep? No. If he did, you would see it in the budget. Now that's not to say that he may not have asked for 1 or 2 minor things. And if you are of interest, I will pull the last 5-year budgets, and I keep all of their worksheets, and it will clearly say what he asked for and what he didn't. And I can assure you that no matter what commissioner I served with, and I've served with a few, okay, that we all would have placed money in that budget if it meant that we had to. So what's the corrective action for this repair, maintenance, and keeping it clean? As I said, it has been neglected. Mike Hicks, our union rep, Patty Aubry was at one of our, I think it was Patty, it might have been Jen when she was there at the time, but I'm not positive, stated very, very clearly that there's things over in the jail that needs to be upgraded and that they're not being done, and it is detrimental for the staff, COs. Well, I got tired of hearing it, and I think it was you, Patty, who was there. I got tired of hearing it, and I said right there at the meeting, I want to meet with you over at the jail the very next morning. We walked through. He told us what the problems was, showed us. We went with Brian Miller, the warden, as well as Dominic Carnicella, our HR person, and Vince Zabatoski walked through with me. As Vince and I left, we turned to the warden. We said we want to have a list of all of the repairs that the union said that they want. Because quite honestly, it was an issue between the union and management. Union says they ask for these repairs to be made. Management said they don't. I'm not going to get into who he said, she said, so we just asked for the documentation. You can check your records. It's been quite some time. I think it was in June or July. To this date, do not have the documentation. So how do we correct that? Corrective action is you take what the Department of Corrections said here and this National Institute of Corrections that I had come on site in August of 2012, and you take their recommendations and you implement them. And what their recommendations were is to set up a preventive repair and maintenance program. That is one of the deficiencies that is cited, that we don't have that. And also have a housekeeping program. I think that's on the next one here is whether or not our jail is clean or not clean. Well, first off, when I spoke with the DOC, they were amazed that they walked into the jail and it was as bad as it was. When I say bad, I'm talking about dirt and filth. I was equally stunned and shocked. I should not walk through any county building and see cobwebs or see paper thrown on the floor or a mop head sitting at the side. Well, if you know that the DOC is coming in, why would you not clean up? And they didn't. Just like why wouldn't you have your policies presented? And as you can go through here, you will see that some of these deficiencies, we do have policies, they just were not presented. Well, why would you do that? And as the DOC told me, there's a severe lack of policy and a definite lack of direction. And who's at fault for the lack of direction? The prison board. If we tell them, if majority of us tell the jail what to do and when we want it done, then it should be done. And if it's not, then you know what we're supposed to do. I'm now on number 4. I only have 10. They cite this National Institute of Corrections operation assessment that I had done, saying that their findings said that a new jail was needed. And they actually put that in a request for production, not a request for proposal that was in your newspaper. I've read this report 3 times. And there is nothing in this report that says that they are recommending a new jail to be built. Absolutely nothing, and I would ask anyone to please find it for me because it's not in here. So you should not cite something like that whenever it's not true. There are recommendations in here, and yes, we should take some of those recommendations and implement them. And there are minutes of the prison board meeting where I specifically asked the warden at the prison board meeting, I think it was about 6 months after August 2012, where are we on implementing any of these recommendations? And the response was, we haven't done any of them. Well, you know what we as a prison board should have done at that time. So what's the corrective action on that? Take these and implement them. They cite a high number of inmates which are housed in other counties. However, if you take Crabtree's report and you look at section 3, the monthly population data, and you also look at the Herald-Standard story, there's an article. It says that the county began boarding inmates in out-of-county jails in 2006 with a daily average of 3 being transferred, said Crabtree, adding that there was little change in the number until 2010. So all this, we haven't been doing anything for years, is just simply not true. In 2010, the number rose to 27. In 2011, the average daily out-of-county figure was 14, and then it was 36 in 2012. Now, in 2013, the average daily inmate in other locations is 47. Well, the question then becomes, number 1, why is it peaked? Well, everyone knows that in the summertime, and I'm sorry, not everyone knows this, we are told as prison board members that we should expect an increase in inmates, and I know the 2 reporters here have been at these meetings in the summer months and around the holiday season. So again, while you can cite high numbers, you need to put it in perspective. Do we have these out-of-county rentals high in every month? Crabtree's own study says no, that we don't. So it hasn't been going on for years and years and years. Number 6, they say the county pays millions of dollars. There's a Herald-Standard article where one of the officials is actually quoted as saying that we spend $700,000 per year to house inmates outside of the county. This is an audited financial statement, outside auditors, very clear. It shows outsourced housing goes from 2007 to 2009. Please take a look at it. I'm going to have it up on, as a matter of fact, the Herald-Standard did link it to one of their articles, so I would hope that individuals will read it. And if anyone who might be listening to this or want this information, I can give it to them. I can go back from 2003 to date, and there is no way that we are spending $700,000 a year, as stated by the controller, or millions as stated by Crabtree. You can't argue with facts, you can't argue with statistics, you can't, you can't argue with statistics, you can't argue with facts, audited financial statements. You just can't. This is what we paid. So it's not right for, if you want to propose something, have the right justification, and let's put it in perspective before we make a decision.
Angela.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
thank you.
Jason.
I was going to say, the numbers sort of fluctuate up and down, reaching the lowest in 2007 with about $9,500 spent yearly.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that this is probably a pretty broad question, but do you know why the number fluctuates so much? I mean, or had there been programs implemented at certain times during those years?
Mm-hmm.
After a while, a lot of things run together.
Right.
But do you know why in 2007 it was under 10 grand, and then the next year it was 51? Were there court programs or?
Well, the court programs, there were supposed to be the 3 treatment courts, the drug treatment court and the mental health treatment court for the year 2007. We did not initiate or implement the veterans court until, I believe it was 2008. So that could be part of the reason, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, are you disputing, though, that the county is going to be paying around $1 million this year for paying for inmates?
No, I never said that we would. Yeah.
And what's your viewpoint on next year? I mean, given that last year we paid like $690,000, this year we're on track for $1 million.
And the year before?
Well, we're talking about next year.
Yeah.
We're talking about next year. We're not talking about the past.
Well, you have to talk about the past.
We're in the present, though, Angela.
Okay.
We're talking about the situation where, for whatever reason, the prison population has gone up. Mm-hmm. And they're saying, according to this report, that the prison population will continue to go up. Mm-hmm. So do you know that it won't go up, or do you think that what they're saying is not true, or not accurate, or?
I believe, as others do, and that is what the courts and the other 2 commissioners and the Data Reporting Center, we will have a hold on the population increase if we adequately incorporate the 3 treatment centers as well as the day reporting. We have not done that, and here's proof of that. The first thing is, you just did a article, I believe, or coverage somewhere in, I don't know, municipality for the Veterans Court. It wasn't too long ago. Now, go to our county website, pull up the Veterans Court. You will see the documents on there that are actually dated August of 2012. Why is it that in March of 2013, we're out there informing people that we have a Veterans Court? Well, I'll tell you why. Because no one knew. Okay? If you would go to a CJAB meeting, which I attend, the public defender's representative and the DA's representative and even Judge Wagner said that it is too late to address the situation once the individual comes before the court, because you have to address them and put them into the system well before the sentencing. So there was very limited knowledge of that we had a Veterans Court. There was and I can tell you that I recall a representative from the Public Defender's Office and the DA's office at one of the CJAP meetings saying just that. The same thing with the treatment court for the drug treatment court and the mental health court. I showed Patty Yager in my office a stack of correspondence where we find that in the public defender's office they want to remove that individual from the jail and put them into the program or the state hospital where they need to be. And it all fell through the system. You should not have those individuals taking up jail cells. Same way with the drug treatment. Yes, we'll have to build a jail if we continue to put the individuals that are parole violators, probation violators, and DUI substance abuse, continue to put them in jail, because Fayette County is not the only county that is faced with that. So are the other counties. So what do? They have a day reporting center and they have a drug treatment court. Because if you look in the March of 2013 prison board minutes, you will actually read where District Attorney Hennig says that our population is because of parole violators. It's in the minutes, okay? The day reporting center, we're spending over
Wait a
five.
minute.
Go ahead.
So you talk about parole violators. I mean, so
Probation.
you don't think they should go to jail if they violate their probation or their parole?
Apparently the courts don't, because that's why they suggested that we do the day reporting center, to avoid them and help them not violate their parole.
Yeah, but I think that there is a difference there. I mean, there's all kind of different parole violators and probation violators. I don't think it's like everybody that violates their parole is probably going to be eligible for day reporting. That's not my understanding.
Do you know how many inmates we now have in our newly day reporting center?
No.
26.
Okay.
And we have 10 pending. And I got that information today, about 2 hours ago, from Tim Merlin, who's the director of the program. Okay? So that's 26 people and 10 pending. Do the numbers. That if we did not have the day reporting center, would be in jail. Now,
but we know that not all 26 of them are going to go through the program either. I mean, what did they say? The odds are, I think, 30% or something.
Well, 3 commissioners unanimously agreed to operate the day reporting center. Write that down.
Well, yeah, it's worth. I think it's worth a shot.
Well,
but I think
would you
can't say, well, all 26 are going to go through the program. That's not realistic.
Well, all you have to do is look at the statistics from other counties and look at the statistics throughout Pennsylvania.
From what we were told, it's about a third. Would you disagree with that, or?
Who told you that?
Well, I think we did this story.
Yeah. Well, that could be. But the point still is that would you not, before you go out and you build a $32 million Fayette County Hall of Justice and Rehab Center, and remember, it says rehab center, so apparently they're going to rehab, okay, then do it here. Rather than spending $32 million, give the programs an opportunity to work. The programs have not been fully implemented, and it's partly the fault of the prison board, the 3 county commissioners, and the courts. And it is. So much so, Judge Wagner just hired an individual to coordinate those 3 those 3 courts. Why was that done? Certainly not to just give his daughter a job. I would think not. It was to make sure that it gets done. Why? Because too many things were falling through the cracks. I don't have a crystal ball, just as Crabtree Associates doesn't have a crystal ball. But what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that we're going to be that every single person who goes through the program is going to go through it completely. However, The courts recommended this particular agency. We had, I think, 3 who applied. The courts, Jack Hennigs and Jeff Whitego, sent each of us a letter separately and signed it and said, of these organizations, we think this is the best one because it's going to help with the recidivism, okay? Now, is it going to be 100%? Of course not, but what is? But should we rush into building a $32 million jail, or should we say, you know what, the states gave us $400,000 and the county general fund put in $100,000, let's see if this works. If you look at the number of beds that are needed, and you'll see as I go through this, when you can take 26 today, now today is what, October 9th, 10th? The program just started September 1st. 26 is in there now with 10 pending. The program can utilize up to 70. And that's just the program that we have here. And Tim Merlin said that if the county ever wanted to increase the program, we can increase it so they could have the availability of doing more than 70. Now, hopefully the newspaper's not going to say tomorrow that Zimmerlink wants all parole violators on the street. I sure hope that's not in the paper. But I didn't say that. What I said is to allow those treatment centers and the day reporting center to at least to try to work. Is that anything else on that?
Well, it's just that Slater did say that he did think that these programs were good, but he still felt that there would be a need that if we didn't have these type of programs, that the inmate population would continue to soar. And that these will be helpful, but they still won't really meet the needs that we still have to build a new prison.
Slater and others, Crabtree, Slater and others, they want to build a new 480-bed facility. Do we need more jail space? Yes. Is the answer a brand new 32,480-bed facility? No. And I'll touch, I'm almost done. Number 7, they cite the sheriff transportation costs for inmate transport is costly, and that the prison hired just recently part-time COs specifically to do the transport. Your reporter was there when I questioned him on that, and neither Crabtree nor the warden could confirm that that was the reason we hired. And I would have never asked the question if I didn't know the answer, because I was at the prison board meeting, and I know that that's not the reason why we hire part-time correctional officers. We're hiring part-time correctional officers because we need them for those who are retiring and those who are taking vacations. And if all you have to do is look at the union contract, and they get a lot of vacations, and then we're short-handed. So the documentation for the sheriff's transportation, you can look at it. According to this budget report, ending June of 2013, we have $37,000 in there for sheriff travel. Not all of that, obviously, is for inmate transfer. By June, he's used 44% of his budget. I think if you would just go dollar to dollar, one would think that you would be at 50%.
So you're saying it's probably going to be maybe 75,000, 80,000
I don't know. I'm just pointing out that it's 37,000 now.
for like half the year.
The budget report is ending June 30th. Yeah. And then I would say, if you are going to build a new jail and they say it's less transport, then I would hope that those part-time COs, that situation obviously would need to be looked at. There is a statement that the county budget, the general fund went over the county budget in the line item for the rental accounts. Well, of course we did. You know why? Because we budgeted $350,000. If you look at what we used last year, Okay, here, Mark just brought it up. 212,000 in the year 2012. We were at $690,000. Okay, now, then why did 3 commissioners, Ambrosini, Zimmerlink, and Zapatowski then only budget $350,000? Were we derelict in our duty and said, well, my goodness, you had $690,000 in 2012, and I know Mark said you don't want to go backwards, but you have to when you're doing your budget. 2011 was $266,000. Then why did we only budget $350,000? Well, you want me to tell you why? Because we said that we believed that the day reporting center and the treatment courts was going to have a positive effect. Well, we were wrong. Why? Because we didn't properly implement them. So this thing, oh, we're over budget. Well, then realize that you only budgeted $350,000, and you knew that the 2 years prior to that was $690,000, and the other one was $265,000. And if you believe all of the reports that prison population rises, then again, why did we do that? And it wasn't just us 3. Remember, we have Sam Lynch sitting at that table, okay? Our highly paid financial consultant. They do all of the figuring, as well as the controller, who may not be sitting there at the time, but he weighs in as well.
Angela,
Go ahead.
was the reporting to have gone online sooner than September?
The commissioners anticipated that, yes. When we budgeted, and I can, and as proof and documentation for that, look at the 2013 budget, and you will see $50,000 put in a line item for day reporting. The county's actually paying about 100 and some thousand, but at the time we thought that it would only be about 50.
And so you expected it to have picked up earlier in the year as opposed to 9 months in?
Absolutely. That's why in 2012, when we were sitting down and we were doing the budget, you will see, and I didn't bring the budget, but I think it was past middle of December, you'll see that line item in there. And we did not open it until September.
Sorry, Ms. When did you guys open it?
When did we want to?
Yeah.
When did we want to?
Right.
We wanted to open it like in January or February, but we did, and that's why we only that's why we budgeted $50,000,
Right.
and but we did not open it until September. Okay. Number 9, they cite a need for meeting rooms, saying there's a reason there are no. That's the reason we have no inmate programs and visitation. Again, yes, we do have a lack of space, but it still can be corrected without building a new jail. That's why it's being called, or suggesting to be called, the Hall of Justice and Rehab Center. Take a walk downtown. How many empty buildings do you see in downtown Uniontown? There were 2 things that I did not like hearing at one of the public meetings, and that was, Reverend Sanders said this 3 times. He said, and he's the chaplain, he said that we need space, and that he cannot hold his AANA meetings in the jail because he's bumped by jail staff because they need to have their meetings. When I heard that I got very upset about that. The sheriff or the warden, all you have to do is walk across the street. Come into our commissioner's conference room, use that. Why would you take up space down there? Okay. Then Lisa Ferris-Kuznar stated the other day, and she's the team leader for the mental health, or Fayette County Behavioral Health, and she says, our inmates are not getting their proper programming because we don't have any space. Well, why are we just hearing this now? If you don't have space, tell us, and let's address the issue. But don't tell us, 3 weeks before we're the proponents of a new jail. I believe that if someone would have brought to our attention that we definitely need some room so these individuals can have their programming, we should have addressed it. Crabtree Slater study says he used the first 8 months of 2013 out of the county jail cell rentals as a statistic point. As I said, if you look at the March 2013 minutes, not me, but District Attorney Hennig said that the cause for overcrowding was noted as parole and probation violators, and Commissioner Zabatowski and Ward Miller had stated that had questioned this new order from the judge that there are 7,000 bench warrants out there. So much so that they were very upset. The next month, Tammy Lambie from the court administrator's office came down and said, no, we don't think that's the reason. Okay? But the point is that whenever I asked why are you using that as a statistic, they said because that's the highest, and they go by statistical rates in the highest. All what I'm saying is you got to take that into consideration. And then,
I'm not sure I understand what exactly you mean by that. Are you saying that they shouldn't have taken that point as the highest, or?
I'm saying to take that into consideration, that month was the highest, and the other members of the prison board gave reasons as to why that was the highest, and that in future months it should not be quite as high because of if you have the parole violators, and if they're going to the day reporting center, it should not be that high. I'm not arguing his statistics. What I'm saying is that other prison board members and the warden had made a justification for that. So they made the justification for that.
So it's just a matter of happenstance that they picked that and it ended up being.
Well,
I don't know why they picked it, but yeah.
I mean, it was my understanding that and yeah, you can correct me or whatever, that there was an increase in the bench warrants, and there was an effort made to serve some outstanding warrants for things. And you know, I guess you can argue whether or not that should have been done or whatever. But the point is that they're bench warrants. They're people who should be in jail, or they should be in the criminal justice system. They shouldn't be allowed to just run around free. I mean, I would think that most people would agree with that.
Well, I'll give you an example, okay? They picked one, I think the Herald-Standard of the Tribune Review wrote the article. A lady who had she had an outstanding bench warrant. She had a civil action suit filed against her with a local dentist, and she was supposed to pay off like $2,000–3,000. She paid everything off except $800. She didn't pay it off, so they issued a bench warrant, and a year or two later, whenever this here came into effect, the constables went out and found her, and they brought her into jail. She owed $800. Why would you put somebody in jail for that? I know, granted, and I'm not a judge, and I don't do mandatory sentencing, but I would think that before you would go out and serve a bench warrant that has been out there for 2 years to some, I know the lady was, she was wrong because she still owed the money, but you pick her up on a bench warrant and put her through the system? Well, we were told by the courts that when they forewarned us that there are 7,000 bench warrants out there, okay? And that they were going to change the manner in which bench warrants could be issued and picked up, and that for us to be prepared for that, okay? And so I guess we were, because we did have more individuals in our jails.
What would you do with somebody if they refused to pay?
Why did the courts have 7,000 out there for all those years? And now we have to deal with it. Well,
I think you could ask that question, but are they wrong to finally maybe deal with this? And what do you do with somebody who hasn't paid $800? They owe somebody.
If the judge wants to issue that new order to increase the bench warrants, which is going to increase our cost for the constables, and then it's going to increase the need for jail cell rentals. They certainly don't need to be behind the bars. They could be in the minimum security dormitory style facility, which I'll address at a later time. I never said that to put the criminals out on the street. And if there's an outstanding bench warrant, if that's what the judge orders, then we go ahead and do it. However, do we need to build a $480 Hall of Justice Rehab Center, 480 bed, for that. If we have these extra individuals, and I would think that if some people are hearing that the bench warrants are being served, then maybe others with your statistics, maybe they might say, well, I think I'm going to start paying. But then there's alternative housing methods. We don't need to build a jail to put them in there when we can do, and I'm almost ready to go through some other items, another type of facility. Building another annex. I'm not saying not to lock them up. They're criminals. They have a crime. But do you need to build this $32 million facility to do that? My opinion, and you have yours, and they have theirs. My opinion is no. We can address it in a more reasonable way that the taxpayers of Fayette County can afford.
But probably not everybody on the bench warrant is somebody who just owes somebody money. I mean, there are criminals out there that, have offenses that maybe they should be in jail.
Again, I'm not saying not to do that, and I would trust that the newspaper, when they write their story, doesn't say that Zimmerlink wants the people who have bench warrants issued to be out running the streets of Fayette County.
Would you think, well, I would assume that part of the reason the day reporting program was started was for such bench warrants where it was the lower end. I mean, someone that is $800, I would hope that they wouldn't put them in jail, that they would get it right into the day reporting program.
Well, or what they did for this individual is, see, what we were told would happen is that if the constable went out at 6 o'clock at night, that they would give them an opportunity to call their relatives and say, hey, they're going to take me in, so can you come and give me X amount of dollars? Or the second option, and this is as per Tammy Lambie, court administrator at one of our prison board meetings, or take them down to the booking center. Booking center is not the jail. Take them down into the booking center. The constables will get, their transportation cost for that, and they'll go through the booking center. And at that time down there, that you give them a call, and the person would have the telephone call made to their individual and friend, relative, and the money would come down, and the person would come down and pay. If you pay right there, then you're gone, and you have to just show up, I think, like within 48 hours to the judge. That was the whole idea.
Do we know the woman with the $800? I mean, how long was she in jail? Do you know? So theoretically, she could have. If she would have got the money, she could have been out the next day.
Well, but I'm not. That's just one example. I mean, my head is filled with a lot of information. I mean, I'm throwing out one example. I'm sure that they're not picking up, these individuals. I'm sure not every bench warrant is a situation like that, but I can tell you that there are some, and there's no way that, if I have to go back and do some more research, I'll do that if you guys need it. Good one.
Well, I was just going to say one thing, and that is, I am aware that there are magistrates who will give people who cannot afford to pay their fine the option to, there's a computation, mathematics that they use to determine if you owe $100, that equates X amount of time in jail. And there are people who opt to spend the time in jail instead of pay their fine. I know that just from being through the court system.
And also, the courts, the court administrator, when they did tell us that these bench warrant new order would be coming down, and we discussed it at a prison board meeting, that some people would rather spend a day or two in jail than pay. And why is that? Because they just simply do not have the money. And I know you did not come to one of our meetings where we had the bond forfeitures, but that's a whole nother story, that people in Fayette County, they don't have the money, so they will spend time in jail. I'll give you one other example. Again, that bench warrant thing with this lady, I didn't know about it until I read it either in your paper or the Tribune Review's paper. Okay, so you can check your archives on that. One other thing was the warden told us a story where a magistrate put an 83-year-old woman in jail because she didn't cut her grass. Now, I want all my neighbors to cut grass, believe me. But do you put an 83-year-old woman in jail because the magistrate is upset and says you have not been? I mean, I know they can become frustrated, and because you keep coming before them. Don't ask me this. Pick up the phone and call the warden. And if he says, oh, I forget, then I'll bring him down here and I'll tell him the day in which he said it and who he said it to, because that is exactly what happened. Should that happen? I'm not a judge, I'm not a magistrate, but I would think not. And again, please don't say that Zimmerlink said that, you know, let's not do that, or that all the people in jail are in jail for those reasons, because that's not. But it's a way to address our jail situation. And I'm not saying let's not be tough on crime. The last thing here, before I go into how we can address some of the ideas that I have, is they say that the prior administrations have been band-aiding the situation and we ignore a crisis situation. We've never taken any action, and that's simply not true. Vince Vacides, Sean Kavanaugh, and Ron Nels used $1.2 million of our bond money. This was before I was a commissioner, and you know what? This was a good thing that they did. They used $1.2 million of our bond, and they built an 80-bed annex, and it opened in 2002. The 2003 out-of-county rentals was $17,000 that year. And if you look at the statement that they say, well, you know, hey, well, why aren't you looking at these statistics? And it keeps going up. Well, at our prison board meeting in 2006, you had Judge Wagner, you had Nancy Vernon, who was the DA, Mark Roberts, the controller, Joe Hardy, Angela Zimmerlink, and Vince Vacides. We all passed a resolution, Sheriff Brownfield, and we anticipated overcrowding. So what did we do? If you read the minutes of the meeting, it says, overcrowding, now this is 2006. Overcrowding issue discussion by Commissioner Zimmerlink. I was the chair at that time. All of the studies have been done and completed. We either build a new prison, add on to the existing prison, or sit back and do nothing and wait for the overcrowding to become a problem. She understands that as of right now this is not a problem, but is concerned that it will become one again. So anyone out there who says that you know, past administrations, and particularly me, did nothing, just pull the minutes and you'll see otherwise. It says Zimmerlink wants to make a motion to acknowledge that the Fayette County Prison Board makes the following recommendations. And there's 5 recommendations here. That was passed unanimously. And again, Judge Wagner, Nancy Vernon, Sheriff Brownfield, the 3 county commissioners, and the controller. And to answer your question, why the fluctuation, and is it because we did or did not implement them? Well, yeah, in 2006, it was September of 2006. We had none out of county. The population for that, the population for September of that year was the lowest population since July of 2003. But yet, we took action and we said, let's take these 5 things and let's try to implement them. You cannot implement court programs unless the court approves them, obviously. But it was suggested that that be done and given to the CJAB, and they started to implement the programs by doing the drug treatment court, the veterans court, and the mental health court. Again, we just didn't get it all pulled together. And one of the items on here was to do a alternative housing. And I'll touch real quick on that because I'm almost finished here. And that would, alternative housing, my goodness, we all know what that is. You know, you live in a house. And Reverend, the prison chaplain has a very good program called the Genesis House. And back in the time I just said, you know, we could, as long as the state sentencing guideline is correct, we could send these individuals to alternative housing. And the commissioners, even in the last 2 years, increased our budget for intermediate punishment, electronic monitoring. Now, Judge Wagner doesn't make any bones about it. He says that he really doesn't like those types of programs because he does not want a person to be in a recliner with, watching TV with a ankle bracelet. And he's a judge and he's allowed to have that opinion. But also, Judge Leskinen and Patty was at this meeting. He said, and all the judges have an opinion and they form together and they come up with different ideas. Judge Leskinen said that he would like to look into the alternative housing programs. That was, I don't know what month that meeting was, but she was there. It was like a 3-hour meeting. And that was one of the things that we wanted to address. Because, again, you are getting treatment. As long as the state sentences tells you that you're permitted. And I think how the chaplain does it is you're in jail, the program is you're in jail for so many months and then you have to go straight to this alternative housing program. And while you're there, you have to go to the treatment center, the treatment programs, and then you become educated and GEDs and the whole 9 yards. It's another alternative for solution. So very quickly, I just want to say, so I think that addresses it. Now again, I'm not saying, these are my opinions based on facts. And all what I'm saying is that when the public hears this information stated by all these individuals, that there needs to be fact checked. Because I've demonstrated that not all of the information that we have been given is clearly accurate, or that there is some reason for this, and I've already stated it. So here's how we can reduce recidivism and curtail the population and the parole violators by what I just said: implementing the drug treatment court, the mental health treatment court, the veterans court, and the day reporting center. I've already told you that the commissioners increases the fund for the alternative sentencing. Number 1, allow our day reporting center to take effect. I've already told you that we have 26 in there now with 10 pending. Our current contract, we can extend our contract and it can be extended up to, well, I don't know how high it can be extended, but I know that Tim Merlin said that right now we can take 50 to 70, and if we want, we can extend that program. The second thing is to allow those 3 treatment courts to take effect, and I've already told you that they admitted and acknowledged that it wasn't taken really effective because we had not coordinated it. Second thing, how to address the overcrowding issue of the existing jail and the need for more space. Relocate the female inmates. We have on the average 30 to 40 inmate females in our jail. What is being considered now is a temporary solution down there on Iowa Street for the facility. Rather than making it a temporary situation until this new state of the Hall of Justice is built, separate the females from the males. They're going to vote, you know what the status of that is. One of the things that I disagreed with, and I made it known, but again, majority rules, and that is that they limited the scope for the scope of services for this female facility to 1 story. They have publicly said, well, DOC is recommending that. That is absolutely incorrect, and you can call the DOC. They do not tell you that you have to have only 1 floor. Steve Neubauer offered his place at Iowa Street. It's on 1 level. Some people say that it's in a flood zone and we should not rent that space. I can tell you I didn't bring the documents with me. However, the county commissioners, 2 of them, paid $500 to have that building appraised. I have the documentation back in my office. Sent our staff to the auction and gave them permission to bid up to a certain dollar figure. So they thought that this was a good facility for whatever they were going to use it for. So now Steve Neubauer has it, and he wants to rent it. Well, everyone's talking, you can read it in the newspaper. We haven't even sat down with Steve Neubauer and asked him what his monthly rent is, but yet they're meeting with contractors, and we're going to pay money to have it renovated. Okay, so we'll renovate this site plus pay for 2.5 years. They apparently don't think a flood zone is a problem, so okay, I won't think it's a problem. But here's the thing. Why would you narrow the scope in your bid? You guys have it. You put it in the newspaper to 1 story. We need space. We need meeting room space. We need space for, as Mike Zavada said the other day, for some of our materials. Well, you narrow the scope. I don't think I have to tell you what that means. How many buildings do we have in Uniontown that are 1 story? Why not open it up? Okay? We may have had, and I can tell you that one other person did respond. It was a funeral home, and the bid was rejected. Why? Because it was 2 stories. And you're going to say that we shouldn't have kept that open when you're saying we need space? Second thing is to, and I would consider an outright purchase, either to that building or to another building for this type of facility. Second, to address this, relocate the administrative jail staff to one of the many empty buildings in our thing. You don't need our business manager who you know what a business manager for a jail does. You don't need him taking up space in the jail. There is administrative staff that could be in another building, in a very close building. To address the lack of meeting rooms and to address the lack of storage space for our fouls, just do what I just said, number 1 and number 2. How else could you address the lack of space?
Hold on 1 second. So you're saying that now when we're talking about meeting rooms, because we're talking about, I assume we're talking about places for the drug rehab or the AA meetings and stuff. So you're saying that we could have those meetings at other buildings in downtown Uniontown or somewhere in Uniontown? Is that?
Yeah,
is
they
that
want
what
to put
you're
it up
saying?
the fairgrounds, so I can't have it here in Uniontown.
But
And they have it at the Dave Recording
wouldn't there
Center.
be any problems? Don't you see any problems though with like having prisoners walking around? You know,
Well, we wouldn't
Uniontown
have-
or whatever.
Well, we wouldn't have prisoners walking around. When our inmate comes from the jail over to the court, they're in their orange jumpsuit with their chains on them, and you have 2 or 3 correction officers walking them from the jail all the way into the courthouse. Well, there's close. That's through the Bridge of Sighs. No, it isn't through the Bridge of Sighs. No, it isn't.
There are
That's to go to
times
the
that
court.
They will take them outside,
Yes, there are.
downstairs and upstairs.
But
on the
it's
other
right across the alley. I mean, so you could be talking about a block, 2 blocks,
Well,
3 blocks.
Okay, then put them in the vans that we have. And how much gas is it to go from the jail to 2 or 3 blocks? Or, hey, that's fine. Then build a 480 new $32 million jail because we need a meeting room. Or take some one of the vehicles that we have with the sheriff's office, go down to that place where they stole the gas from us, which is another story. Put some gas in the car and go 3 blocks and take them down there. Or we could build a new jail. The other thing is, across the street we have the Uniontown City Jail. That is, now the owner at one time, he had some physical issues and he thought that it was in better repair, but he had stated recently that he was willing to discuss with the commissioners, and I said that to the commissioners of that facility. Tear it down. You got a space right there. Use that space. I don't know, I mean, I am not an architect, and I'm not claiming to be an architect, but what I am claiming is has all the other options been explored? And the answer is no, because all you have to do is you look at this, you'll see 480 new bed jail, either on site or somewhere else. At that spot there, they attached to this thing, you will see soft pods, hard pods, and modules. They are very secure. Greene County uses them and others uses them. It's half the cost and it can be erected in half the time. They can come in with with a prefab, set it on a concrete slab, and do your hookup. Now, that building there has hookup. Obviously it does. There's what I'm saying is that possibly, as we just discussed here about the meeting rooms, well, you don't have to take them 2 or 3 blocks. Well, if you're taking them across our parking lot, then you can certainly walk across the street and put them and take them in there. Buy that building, tear it down, put up a new one, bring in one of those soft pods, and walk those inmates only across the street for their meetings, or use that for other. I'm not narrowing it down just for the meeting rooms. The second thing is number 6, build an annex on site or adjacent. Kimball Associates quoted at $6.7 million that they could build a 120-bed facility on site. We're being told that you can't put anything on site. It's too small. And this section in here where they said if you do put it on site, remember there's a $2-point-something million garage in there. Well, I think if you don't want the inmates to walk 2 blocks, believe me, county employees can walk 2 or 3 blocks. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But we don't need to take $2 million and put it into a parking garage, because one of the options is to extend our existing jail. Kimball Associates provided that information, said a 120-bed facility could be there on site, and at that time it was $6.7 million. I'm sure that the cost has been increased, but I don't believe that it would have been increased as high as the $32 million. Some people have stated that there's a building, and I've never talked to the individual, but a building across the way, the old Yezbek building, that perhaps that also could be used. Well, has that been looked at? Has that been discussed? The answer to my knowledge is no. Number 7, consider these soft and hard pods like other counties, and even the Department of Corrections have them. Go on their website and you will see that they have soft and hard. They're the modules. And again, so do other counties. It's an up-and-coming, new, efficient way rather than the bricks and mortar. And it's supposed to be, according to them, less costly and less time to build. To address the lack of cleanliness, repairs, and maintenance, implement what NIC said and implement what DOC said. An inmate cleaning program and a preventive maintenance and repair program. DOC was surprised to hear, and called them and confirmed this, surprised to hear that Fayette County did not have an inmate cleaning program. Fayette County is one of the many Fayette County is one of few counties in Pennsylvania that don't have that. There's a whole list of reasons why you would want your inmates to clean the place in which they live. Don't take my word for it, call them. Implement 2 programs to reduce incarceration. Number 1, implement the work release program. We don't have the work release program, and we should. You ask the courts why we don't have them. I'm not a court expert, but there's a reason. Crabtree, your statistical guy and the guy that, he reported that other counties have the program. Why doesn't Fayette? Fayette should consider that. Implement the alternative housing program. We don't have it. One of the reasons we don't have it is because if you look back in 2006, when we started to talk about it, people would call us and say, not in my backyard. But you know what? We have to address the issue. You remember that, right? This was addressed and proposals were heard in 2006 but not implemented. Reverend Sanders, who's a prison chaplain, began the Genesis House, which garnered support from the prison board and the Criminal Justice Board. And as I just said, Judge Leskinen said that he believes that we ought to, he and his fellow judges believe that we ought to look into these alternative programs. And then that's basically all I have to say. I just wanted to say that these are just some of my suggestions. I think that it ought to be considered, all 3 commissioners should be considering these things, taking taking them into consideration and actually answering why to some of these issues I raised, they need to be addressed. If you want to convince the paying public that they should be paying for the Hall of Justice, then you have to give them the accurate information. Right now, they don't have the accurate information, and we also should have some alternatives. The proposal, their proposal should be considered, obviously, but so should some of the things that I have said. And yes, we disagree on county issues at times, but that should not make us, it should not be an adversarial position. Matter of fact, I wish those two were here and we could have that discussion, but it doesn't happen. But that doesn't mean that it shouldn't happen.
So you're saying you're not against the new prison, you just feel that we should look at all avenues before jumping into the new prison. Is that what you're saying?
The county taxpayers cannot afford the prison as they have suggested. And no, I would not support a new prison, because if you don't fix these issues here, you're going to have the same issues. I'm not the only one who said that. Even Mr. Crabtree said that if you don't implement these programs, that the 480 facility will be filled up very quickly. The difference here is that do we need a state-of-the-art 280-bed facility, or do we need more beds and more space? And the answer is we need more beds and we need more space. The reason that I can tell you that phase 2 of that Kimball Associates for the $6.7 million was not done, I'll give you the 2 reasons why it was not done. It was supposed to be implemented somewhere around like the 2006-2007 year. Number one, if you look at the prison statistics that I didn't make up, but we had, it wasn't just in this report, we had other reports, it wasn't increasing as much, it was dropping, okay? So how would Hardy, Bacides, and Zimmerlink go out there and say we need to build this? Secondly, when I took office with Joe Hardy in 2004, we found out in December of 2004 that we inherited a $3 million deficit. What did we have to do to address that issue? We had to raise taxes, okay? So that's what we did. And I vowed, and I did, the next 2 years lowered the millage rate. However, how do you go and you tell your citizens, your paying public, that guess what? Not only did we raise taxes because there's a $3 million deficit, but now we have to go and float a bond and have money, and we want to implement phase 2. We need $6.7 million. Commissioners were not willing to do that, and they could not justify it back then in 2006. And the third reason why, I said there were 2, the third reason why, do you think any, and this is a rhetorical question, do you think any bank, financial facility, would have given the county at that time money in way of floating a bond when you had a $3 million deficit? So it was the decision of Hardy, Zimmerlink, and Bacides not to do it at that time. Was it the wrong decision? No, I don't believe so. Would they say that? Ask them, but I know it really doesn't matter. But the point is now, we need space and we need some beds, but you can do that in a less costly way. We have a declining population in Fayette County. Read the newspapers, Hatfield, National Envelope, United Defense, Lady Luck Casino, and how many other places.
But Angela, are you aware that our county's unemployment rate has actually declined from 10.5% in January to like 8.5%? It did go up to 0.2% in the last month. And even when you talk about the layoffs up at the casino, well, there's still what, 200 or 250 people. How many people are still employed out there? So it's not like there's a loss there.
It's like a hot button issue too. I mean, they had said originally that there was going to be layoffs once the season got
But what you're taking from this, Mark, what you're taking from this is one of the 5.
You're saying that you have to look at facts. Well, the facts are that the unemployment rate has declined by 2% in the past 6 months. So you can't, I don't think you could very well say that, well, we have all these we have all these layoffs now and the economy is in terrible shape. It's not in terrible shape. It's gone down 2% in the past 6 months.
Okay, people of Fayette County, you're gonna have a new prison if more keep.
No, I'm not saying that. We're talking, you want to talk about an adversarial situation. You want to talk about facts. Well, let's talk about the facts. The facts are 2% has gone down in the past 6 months.
Okay, the fact.
You don't want to. You want to just say, you know, we have layoffs here, we have layoffs there. Well, these are the facts.
The fact, are you disputing the fact that United Defense?
No, but
backfilled,
overall, Angela, apparently there are more hirings going on in Fayette County.
Okay. Okay. Again, go ask any members of the public whether or not they want to pay any extra monies in taxes or have a bond floated at $30 million at 4.6% interest for a 30-year payoff at $57 million for what? Would it be nice if Fayette County residents had money and we could all afford to build a Hall of Justice and put it out there at the fairgrounds? Yeah, if people had money and it didn't matter to them. But the people that talk to me on a daily basis and call me and send me emails, they say, you know what? I just can't take it out of my pocket anymore. Okay?
And what if the money's not going to come out of their pocket? What if the money's going to come out of the Marcellus Shale? We're one of the top 10 counties in Pennsylvania that is getting money from the Marcellus Shale.
Okay.
So I don't know how people make this argument that we're still this impoverished county. I mean, other counties are looking at us and they're saying, "Wow, Fayette County's getting 1.5 million a year, and the chances are that it could very well go up in years to come." I mean, from what people are saying, from what people were talking about.
It is taking it out of their pockets, the Marcellus Shale. Do I believe that Marcellus Shale money should be used to build a new jail? Absolutely not. The state doesn't even think that. What was the intention of the legislation when they did the Marcellus Shale? There's eight items for the uses of Marcellus Shale. If you do not, if you take that money and you don't give it to the municipalities, and the municipalities need monies to fix their roads, fix their bridges, fix everything, what are they going to do? They're going to raise taxes. So in the long run, it is taking money out of their pocket, and it is not the best use of the money for the Marcellus Shale. And the Marcellus Shale has a 15-year lifespan. I'm not making that up. Go read the legislation. It's 15 years for a new well, and it's even less if the wells have been spudded. We've already used 2 years of that. And between this year and last year, the amount of Marcellus Shale money that Fayette County has received has decreased on the county level. That's a fact. Also, is it the best use of the money? Absolutely not. Especially whenever there are alternatives. The casino revenue. The casino revenue is to be used for economic development. One of the county commissioners says, well, we can use half of it for economic development. Well, as Crabtree pointed out at the last meeting that I went to, he said, how do you keep people off the streets and people not committing crimes? You see to it that they're employed. How do you see to it that they're employed? By economic development. Well, if you're taking the money, Fayette County finally is going to be able to receive around $2 million from the casino revenue, even though some people are being laid off. I didn't write the story, I just read it in the newspaper. But, okay, so the casino revenue is there. Well, why not use it for for economic development? We need sewage. We all know what economic development is. Okay, if you put the infrastructure in, and you educate and have programs for the individuals to be trained, then the businesses will come. But if you use that $2 million or even half of that and you put it for a new jail, is that economic development? No. How are you going to help lay the foundation, not create jobs? Because the commissioner, I don't care what they say, can create a job. But if you put the money towards your infrastructure, then the businesses will come, and that's how jobs are created, and that's how jobs are sustained. If you don't have that money to put that in there, then it's not there. And as Tom Crabtree said, hey, you want to keep people working, you want to have less crime, well, you need to have some economic development. Again, it's just my opinion, and
They had said, how Jim had said that in the long run, they thought building a new facility could save us could save us up to $85 million. With some of the suggestions that you have put forth, how much money do you think that would save us? You know, that's what I'm looking at. I want to see what's going to save the county. I mean, if they say it's going to save $85 million, I mean, that's a huge chunk of money.
where do you get his $85 million?
I think with outsourcing, well, not outsourcing, but sending the inmates to other jails, and just overall, what else?
We're keeping them here.
Keeping them open, not having to send
yeah.
out that one, transportation costs. There's a couple other things too, I just can't remember.
Well, it certainly can't be just transportation cost and out-of-county rentals for $85 million. If that's the case, we're in really big trouble, and even Crabtree's numbers are wrong.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the audited financial statements show, yeah, granted this year here, whatever that figure was, plus what Sean Lawley said he has on his desk, okay? But then again, you look at the other years. But you take your out-of-county and your transportation costs, that doesn't have.
There was a couple more things I just can't remember, but I'm just saying, I'm just worried, you know, do you think would building another annex or adding, you know, taking the old jail and put some there, do you think that would be a Band-Aid, or would that be a long-term solution?
I believe it will be a long-term solution, coupled with having the treatment facilities and our day reporting center.
So you're saying that, so you're saying really, you know, just by doing that, you don't think we need a new facility at all? I think that could be a viable. That's what I'm just trying to do.
Right. Again, I don't believe we need a new facility. What we need is some space, okay, and we need additional beds.
Do you think by adding, you know, would the costs be more to the county by adding a new facility? Do you think it would save us money in the long run? I mean, obviously it would save us because of the beds. We'd have more beds. I'm trying to get my point here. Basically, I'm looking to see, do you think it would save the county money?
I think in the long run it would, yes. And I believe that when you institute these programs, you got to give them a chance to work. Why else did we do that? And it has been known to work in other counties.
Would you rehabilitate the current prison? Mr. Crabtree and others have said that the utilities are all very antiquated. I know that some of the COs told us that they are robbing Peter to pay Paul, but Peter is running out, right? So they are not able to make the necessary repairs. So would you consider rehabilitating the current prison to bring it up to proper codes?
As DOC said, that there are a number of jails in Pennsylvania that are fully operable, and this is something, read it on the email. There are a number of jails in Pennsylvania that are fully operable that are not ADA compliant. So yes, we can still have that as long as we make arrangements for any handicapped inmate. When those individuals told you that, well, there's only one person, only one at that jail who would know the answer to that, and that's the maintenance CEO. The other ones, you know, as to what is needed and what is not needed, and he does the minor repairs. What Crabtree is saying is to bring it all up to code. We don't have to bring it all up to code according to the federal regulation and according to the DOC. Are there repairs and maintenance issues there? Sure. Come over to the courthouse. I'll show you some over there too. And let's go down to the federal building and let's go to our public service building. But does that mean that they can't be addressed? No, they can be addressed. You can ease up the space in the current jail by removing, as I said, some of these offices, and then make the necessary repairs to upgrade it. So Mike Hicks walked us through. He showed me. He has a whole list. Okay, in one room there's no air. Why? Because they boarded it up. Why? Because somebody had, that air conditioner fell out and somebody jumped out the window. Well, is that the reason to board up the window? No. Just make sure that the air conditioner doesn't fall out. There's things within that jail that could be repaired and fixed and good.
And some people complain about the quality of the prison just because it's so old, that it's just not suited for today, just not up to standard, or...
It is up to standard.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, because it was built so long ago, that the new modern facilities are better for the inmates. Do you think that, you said it's really dirty in there, do you think if it was cleaned up, do you think it's a matter of just cleaning up the dirt and getting rid of the cobwebs and just basically cleaning out the place with an inmate program or whatever, that would alleviate that problem? I mean, do you think it's disgusting, as it's been said, because of dirt and grime, or is it disgusting because it's falling apart because it's 125 years old?
There are a lot of buildings that are 125 years old. It is not falling apart. But yes, you need to clean it. And again, that is not the only thing that needs done to the jail. So, Zimmerlink doesn't say let's correct this problem and clean the jail, okay? It's cleaning the jail and making some needed and necessary repairs. And you can't allow a facility, I would hope no one in this room, including me, would allow your house to get that filth, that dirty, or to fall in disrepair that you take some duct tape, okay, to fix it. And again, just because the jail is 124 years old doesn't make it unusable. And then, and here's the thing, and how I know that, because even Crabtree said, well, we could fix it up. It would just cost a little bit too much. So it's not as if it can't be done. He wants to fix it up to the perfection, and we don't have to. Let's fix it up to maybe 50, this part.
Yeah, security was another issue that they brought up. But there's no one escaping if you're gay. So,
of
but
course,
I'm just saying.
yeah. Well, and no one would escape if they wouldn't have had that AC in that window.
They said they wouldn't have, not that they would get rid of jobs, but they wouldn't have to hire so many guards to take place of vacation.
It would be more secure.
Right, it would be a little more secure and
Facility.
a little easier to handle the security than the way it is now with lock and key, where you would have that. I mean,
I could give a whole list of things
Sure.
that could make my job easier, and same to you, but guess what? Sometimes you got to deal with what the cards that you have dealt to you, and again, is it worth remedying that situation, or saying, well, let's just build a brand new facility? And remember that jail is for confinement, okay?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, jail's for confinement, as he's pointed out. It's hey, you did a crime and you should be punished. But does that mean that it should be, that you should have water dripping on you? Of course not. No one should. I mean, but go into our courthouse and there's, situations where you have a busted pipe. You're aware of it from the public defender's office and the controller's office. What do? Ignore it? No, we go down and we fix it. What was done over there? It was ignored. So now we have to fix it.
What about
Well,
The what?
go ahead.
What about the kitchen? The kitchen is so small. I was amazed that they could prepare 900 meals a day in that small kitchen facility. That's one of the things that Mr. Crabtree said was something that definitely needed addressed as the medical facility there too. Do you think that some sort of measure should be taken to improve those, particularly those two areas?
Yeah, that should and can be addressed, but also remember this, okay? We have the kitchen facility, while it may be small. Did we ever have our vendor tell the warden and say we can't feed your inmates anymore because the kitchen's too small? No. Did we have our medical facility that says that we can't and take care of the inmates because the facility's low, too small? No. Am I saying that we should ignore the situation? No. There's always room for improvement, okay? And as I said, there is, if you ease up some of that space, then take a look at how you could maybe make the medical facility or the kitchen larger. Or how about think about the space across where the Uniontown Jail is. See if that, no one has looked at that. See if you can put one of those facilities over there where they come in and they have the kitchen facility, where they have the medical facility. You're not going to lose an inmate by walking across the street to get medical help or to have your meals brought over. And I'm not saying to just only go and do that. So now, in 2 days I'm going to have, all the prison working group or certain of them saying, you can't do that. That's not the only option. That's one option. But also remember that Kimball Associates said we have a 120-bed facility that they could build on site. Well, then if there's space, then maybe we ought to look at that. Also, you can use it where our parking, there's options, as I said before, either at our existing facility or perhaps even across the road down there by that lumber. What I'm saying is that we can address the limited number, the number of bed issues that we have, as well as the space issues by the options that I just talked about. And you can also correct the situation by their options, okay? But then you have to look at what's best, and do you want to put that type of money out there for my reasons and for their reasons? And I say no, and I have the ear of many of the individuals. I have a lot of people who tell me the same thing in the community. No, they don't want to do that. Let's see if these items here can work. Let's start, let's implement some of this.
Have you gone to any of the other two commissioners and said, can we just slow up? These are some of my options that I would like to investigate. Can we have Mr. Crabtree take a look at these alternative options and come up with a price and to just take a look at them?
So they looked at three, didn't Crabtree look at three? They looked at not doing anything. They looked at an annex, was that right? And then they looked at a full jail. Was that the three that they did?
Yeah, but seriously, why waste your time of not doing anything?
Sure.
It sounds good. Oh, we have three options. Option one is do nothing. And then what did I hear when I sat there at one of the meetings? Oh, we have some people here who don't want to do anything. Who in the heck ever said that? But of course they're going to put a no-build option in there. But then the only other option that they did was on-site or off-site. And there are other options to consider. And I wish that the prison working group would have been structured. You were at the meeting. No, you can't do it this way. Oh, yes, you can. Come to the meeting. Yeah, then send her into ethics commission. Zimmerlink investigated for violation of that. You just have a advertised meeting. But it's not as if I don't think that I haven't been heard. I don't believe that I haven't said anything. Okay, and whenever I would make the comments, well, I think you guys were either there or would have heard. Well, come to the meeting and you'll have your answers to the questions. But they said, be patient. When the prison working group was formed, said, no, let's not form a prison working group. Who's responsible? The county employees or the elected officials? Us three county commissioners. Let us sit down. I think you were at that one meeting. Let us sit down. We don't need a prison working group. Let us sit down and let us come up with the solutions and take a look at it. But one commissioner, Amberstein, was very headstrong on. He wanted to build a new prison, and that's the way it's been going. And I'm not making this up. And all you have to do is just look at the resolutions and look at all of the things that have been here, all of the decisions that have been made, maybe not formally, not as a vote, but the decisions and the mindset that has been made, and then you say, well, yeah, we're going to vote on it. And you may put in the paper, oh, the commissioners have not taken formal action, but come on, when you do take all of these steps, you know darn right well that you got the second vote. Okay, and you should not at any time pass resolutions, which is, hey, they're on our agenda for tomorrow. Begin the process. What in the heck does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, not when you're working in county code. You know, there's processes, policies, and procedures. Pass a resolution that says, let's set money aside. Well, where are you going to get the money and how much? And have you paid anything? Because guess what? You can't pay anything unless you've entered into a contract. You know, there's things that have to be done, but if you don't want to do it that way, then just have a meeting and go that route.
Do you ever foresee the day when we might need a new prison down the road or something, or do you think that it could just be done just by a combination of look at other alternatives, look at other buildings, whatever?
I don't have a crystal ball, neither does anyone here. I would hope that the same question would have been asked to the two other people who are going to actually vote, which would be Ambersini and Zabatowski. Do you see any other alternatives? Have you looked into other alternatives? And would it have been less costly? And get them to give you the facts and the figures, like I'm giving you facts and figures.
We did ask them, and they pretty much said they felt that this was the best option.
And I believe it's mine. And
because the only thing that they say is that, you know, the price of a new prison has gone up pretty dramatically, you know, over the past 10 years when it was looked at and whatever. So you could pretty much guarantee it's going to be going up in another 10 years if we were to need a new prison. But if you're going to say you don't really think that we need a new prison, you know, that this building will be able to serve.
not just the building, no, that's not what I said, okay? It's you have to, you know, you remove the women from the facility. You have 30 to 50 beds right there. You remove the administrative staff, you have space right there. You build an annex, okay, where you bring in the pods and you have more space. What I'm saying is that their only option that they have considered, and again, that's in this document, okay? The only option that they consider, besides the no build, but no one's considering no build, the only option to address the issue is to build a 480-bed new facility at X amount of dollars. Well, obviously, there has to be other options that is less costly, and I just addressed some of those. And will we need more afterwards? Well, that's why you have, like on an annex, what Kimball was going to do, he had the annex, you can build on top of it. Now and then you also take into consideration the programs. What I'm saying is that you have to address, you have to first identify what the problem is and how you address it. And their solution is brand new facility, okay, whether it's here on the site or somewhere else. And there are these other options.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming in, Angela. We appreciate you sharing your views with our readers and viewers of the Herald-Standard. And my name is Mark O'Keefe. I'm the editorial page editor for the Herald-Standard. And thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
Great.